Hello students of class 9th. Today we will read the poem A Legend of the Northland. This is composed by Fob Carey. This poem narrates the legend of an old lady who angered Saint Peter because of her greed. This story is a famous story. Legend means famous story of an old lady who got angered because of her greed on Saint Peter. So let us start. Away, away in the Northland, where the hours of the day are few, means the daytime was short, and the nights are so long in winter that they cannot sleep them through, and the night time was too long that people could not sleep through them. Where they harness the swift reindeer. Swift means fast, harness means pull. Reindeer is a animal. To the sledges when it snows. When it snows, the people used to harness the swift reindeers to the sledges, and the children look like bears' cubs in their funny furry clothes. Children look like bears' cub because they wore the funny furry clothes. They tell them a curious story. I don't believe it is true. The poet said that I will tell you a story, an interesting story, and yet you may learn a lesson if I tell the tale to you, and you will get a lesson. Lesson means moral. Once, when the good Saint Peter lived in the world below, means when Saint Peter was alive and walked about it, preaching just as he did, and he walked around the world, preached, and as well as he did. He came to the door of a cottage. Cottage means hut. In traveling round the earth. When he was traveling around the earth, he came to the door of a cottage where a little woman was making cakes and baking them on the hearth. Hearth means a large stove. And being faint with fasting, for the day was almost done. Day was almost done means it was evening time, and Saint Peter, due to fasting, got faint. He asked her from her store of cakes to give him a single one. He asked that lady to give him a single piece from her store of cakes. So she made a very little cake, but as it baking lay, she looked at it and thought it seemed too large to give away. When she was baking the cake and looked at it, she thought that it was too large to give it to Saint Peter. Therefore, she needed another and still a smaller one. So she made a smaller one, but it looked, when she turned it over, as large as the first had done, but it seemed to her at the same. Then she took a tiny scrap of dough and rolled it flat and baked it thin as a wafer, but she could not part with that. Even she made a very thin wafer type little cake, but she could not part with that. For she said, my cakes that seem too small when I eat of them myself are yet too large to give away. So she put them on the shelf. Then good Saint Peter grew angry, for he was angry and faint. He was hungry and faint, and surely such a woman was enough to provoke a saint. That lady made him very angry, and he said, you are far too selfish to dwell in a human form, to have both food and shelter, and fire to keep you warm. Now you shall build as the birds do, and shall get your scanty food by boring and boring and boring all day in the hard dry wood. Then up she went through the chimney, never speaking a word. Now she has become a bird, and out of the top flew a woodpecker. She had become a woodpecker. for she was changed to a bird. She had a scarlet cap on her head. Scarlet means red colored, and that was left the same. It was also same on her head. But all the rest of her clothes were burned black as a coal in the flame. And every country schoolboy has seen her in the wood, where she lives in the trees till this very day, boring and boring for food. Okay, thank you.